Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about the artistic legacy of the movie Alita Battle Angel from James Cameron, John Lando, and directed by Robert Rodriguez. So I love this movie very much. First, because of the source material, the manga, because it has been directed by world class masters, James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez. They know their job perfectly. And also, I love the actors' performances, the main story, which is very human, and so on, all that stuff. But I understand these qualities are, in fact, subjective, and I understand very well someone may not like the cyborg stories, sci-fi stories, and but that does not look enough to me to say this movie, Alita Battle Angel, is bad. It's not because we don't like the style that it is bad. It has, apart from these aspects, it has some objective qualities, artistic qualities that should be noticed by any people who know just a little about art. And that's what I'm talking about today. So I will develop several points that are uh, actually outstanding in that movie. First, the large eyes, of course, they are very polemical. The care for detail, the 3D, and the movement. Okay, so let's start with the large eyes. So they are creepy, they are dreadful, they are so. No, it's not. The fact is, we are no longer used to them, to the large eyes. It's not uncommon. It is not at all. But in the West, we have lost the habit of large eyes. But it's a long-term tradition. So first, it starts with the Sumerians. You see, they used large eyes, like this, the statues. In Egypt, too, we have large eyes. Okay, this one is really beautiful. That one, too. And yeah, if you're not convinced by these statues or these paintings, just look at this, the Sphinx. It has huge eyes, disproportionate. But nevertheless, I've never heard anybody telling this statue was ugly or creepy. No, it's beautiful. It's a masterpiece, of course. So the Egyptians also used large eyes. The Greeks, that's the Fayum portraits, and it's from the first to the fourth century of our era, of the Christian era. So it's a long time after the pharaohs, and 3,000 years after Sumerians. You see, I love that one. It's really beautiful. It has large eyes, and of course we have the Byzantine traditions. That's the mosaics of the Basilica San Vitale in Ravenna in Italy. They have large eyes. We also had them in the West during the Carolingian Renaissance. So it's when Charles the Great was the king, the emperor, and later on after. You see, you still have these large eyes in the statues and in the paintings. Okay, it's not uncommon. We had them in the early Gothic in France. These are original statues. On the left, they are restoration statues, but the original ones have large eyes. And yeah, in the painting, in the early Italian painting, you also have plenty of Madonnas with large eyes, with huge eyes. So that's between the 13th and to the 14th century with Giotto di Bondone, especially. She has large eyes. After that movement, it has been forgotten in the West because the painters after, during the Quattrocento and the Renaissance, their goal was to paint closest as possible to the reality. And so that was the challenge, to make things look real. And so they gave up the large eyes because they don't look real. It is a symbol, but it's not realistic. So they gave this up. That's why we are no longer used to them in the West. But that's for the West. We have stopped this tradition around the 14th or the 15th century, but it's not everywhere the same. For instance, look at this. So this Buddha is in Thailand, is in Bangkok. It's beautiful. It's huge and beautiful. This is in Nepal. This is in China. They all have large eyes. It's the same in Easter Island, in Africa, and in many other places like Oceania, Australia, many countries of Africa. Actually, it's everywhere. And of course, Japanese manga masters use the large eyes very commonly. Some have even very, very big eyes. So we could say, yeah, but the Japanese manga masters, it's another culture, it's another current. Yeah, but don't be so sure because they know the Western culture. And so as it's shown here, you see the young girl with the pearl earring from Vermeer adapted a manga way. It's really nice. And you have the milkmaid of Vermeer too. That's the Fête de Village from Renoir. It's made manga style, so the manga masters perfectly know the Western culture. And the same for the great Western painters like Van Gogh or others. They got inspired from Japanese art. There are links and there are exchanges between the cultures. And of course, Yukito Kishiro when he drew Alita or Gali, he made large eyes and beautiful large eyes. So that's Gali, and that's the actual Alita in the movie. So you see that she has exactly the same eyes as Gali. And that was the first goal of Cameron when he decided to make her with large eyes. It was a tribute to the manga masters, but also because it is nice actually. Look at these eyes. It's really beautiful, and for having seen the movie several times, I can tell you they are not creepy at all. These are beautiful eyes. So, why do we make people characters with large eyes? Because they are much more expressive. The eyes are the window of the soul. So if you want to transmit feelings, you make large eyes. That's the main reason. It's also a way to tell these characters see more than the common individuals. Why? Because they are gods, or they are saints, or they are dead, and so they see beyond. They see what's the most important, and it's about the case for Alita. She sees with the heart, and it's also a way to tell they are kind of superior beings or superior level of civilization. That's the reasons why, since the dawn of mankind, we draw characters with large eyes. So now let's talk about the care for the details. So you see that's a picture made by Weta Digital, the company who designed Alita. It's really sharp. So I would make a comparison between Alita and the early Flemish masters. And first of all, Jan van Eyck, who was said to paint with a single-haired brush. Why? Because of the level of detail. So that's the version with Chancellor Rollin, you see. Okay, let's have a closer look to the details. Here is a small village, and that's a zoom. So this this painting is about 20 inches large, 20 inches high. So it's quite small. This is only a few centimeters, and you see the level of detail. On the bridge, which is here, you have these details. People walking on the bridge. It is really tiny, tiny, tiny. So you understand why he was said to paint with a single-haired brush. Yeah. Okay, move on. The care for the detail. So take these data from an article of VXFscience, which is on the internet. I will put a link in description, so if you want to find it, you will. It's totally amazing. So it's about the work made by Weta Digital. So they say, quote, 9 million polygons for each eye of Alita. Yeah, in each eye she has 9 million polygons. For comparison, Gollum in Lord of the Rings, his entire body is 150,000 polygons. So it's tons times more for Alita. Okay, 9 million just for one eye, 150,000 for his entire body. She has 132,000 hairs in her head, 2,000 eyebrow hairs, 480 eyelashes, 500,000 fine peach fuzz hairs on her face. And Alita's cyberdoll body is made of over 8,000 digitally crafted pieces. That's outstanding. I'm not sure the resolution of the video on YouTube will be good enough, but if it is, it's great. You can see the fine peach hairs all around her face is very important to make her look real. That's the care for the detail, and that's the eye. So here there are 9 million polygons. You see the eyelashes. All what you see here is not an actual photograph, it is CGI. Another comparison with the Arnold Finney wedding, which is a Van Eyck painting too. That's the painting. It's not very big. It's 82 centimeters and 60 centimeters like this. So it's about 20 inches large. A zoom on the mirror, which is here, you see. Okay, on that mirror, so it's a curved mirror. So there's a deformation of the window, which is logical, which is realistic. And the characters that are here are the same as in the main picture, but you see the back because the mirror is the other way. And in the background, you see the painter himself who painted himself. Yeah, so it's a level of sharpness which is incredible. Also, look at this, the pearls. Okay, the sunlight goes through the pearl and is projected on the wall. So you have a row of pearls and a row of reflects. Yeah, compared to the mirror, you see so there's the reflection in the mirror, the same in Alita's eye. You have the reflection of I don't know what, but there is one. And you also have the reflection of the eyelashes in the eye itself. You see the eyelashes and the reflection of the eye in the eye. So that's what I call care for detail. Another example from Jérôme Bosch and Saint John the Baptist. So you see the character Saint John the Baptist. He is sleeping in a quiet landscape, countryside. But actually, it's not that quiet. Without any life, it would be too calm, too quiet. Actually, so what did Jérôme Bosch did? He added birds like this, bugs, a ladybug here, a flight of birds in the sky, insects. So you see mosquitoes or flies around that fruit, and in the landscape, a deer, a cow, another cow, sheep, a deer, some tiny animals here and there to bring life. Yeah. So you barely notice them, but you know they are here. So now I quote a sentence from a book that says, "We have added birds to try to bring the forest to life. We always try to add bugs and things like that, so even if the viewer does not notice them, they will sense something moving around." It's exactly what Jérôme Bosch has done, but that quote is not from a book about the Renaissance or the Flemish masters. It is this book, Battle Angel, The Art and Making of the Movie, chapter Badlands, page 168. Yeah, we've added birds to try to bring the forest to life. We always try to add bugs and things like that. It's exactly the same technique. Okay. About the CGI. We take again the Virgin with Chancellor Roland from Van Eyck. So you see here the Virgin, she has a crown carried by an angel. Okay, so let's zoom the crown. Look at this. It looks totally real with the correct light reflection all over the metal and the gems everywhere. This remember, it's very tiny. All this is 60 centimeters, so just the crown is less than 10 centimeters. Yeah, that's a level of detail. Less than 10 centimeters, he managed to do this. Yeah, because he, according to the legend, which is not true, of course, he painted with a single-haired brush. In the Arnold Finney wedding, it's the same. And look at that's the chandelier, which is on the ceiling. It's this. That's the detail. So look at the light, which is properly made. It looks totally real, which is the goal of Van Eyck, of the Flemish the early Flemish masters, and also it's the goal of any infographer to make something look real. Yeah. Another example from the Master of Moulins, who is not exactly an early Flemish master, but yeah, he comes from this current. Let's have a closer look at Saint Peter, who is here. It's the Pope. That's his clothes. I've seen that painting for real. It's amazing. You can count the golden threads on his clothes. Look at the pearls. Okay, so it is CGI, middle-age CGI, end of middle-age CGI. It's exactly the same goals, because so that's what Weta has done. These two hands, they are not real. They are not photographs. They are totally computer-generated pictures. Yeah, they look real. Care for the detail, for the light playing on the fingers. You see here, there are areas in the shadow, areas in the light. It's exactly like, let's have another look. Yeah, uh, that's why I make a comparison. You have this picture is amazing because so it's the same berserker body with blur areas and sharp areas. It means uh, despite it is CGI, Weta has crafted a sharpness range, which is not natural for a CGI picture. It should be sharp everywhere, but no, they have crafted a sharpness range that would fit the sharpness range of the actual live action picture. It's totally amazing, and the thumb shortcut is really well done. It's all computer. Yeah, and you don't see, even on a huge screen, you absolutely can't see the difference between the CGI picture and the live action picture. It's totally outstanding. Let's talk now about the 3D. So the 3D was the goal of any Renaissance painter, because a painting, whether it's on wood or a fresco, it's flat, but it has to look 3D. As their goal was to bring some volume and some depth to their paintings. They mastered eventually the perspective. So this is Raffaello. You see, the perspective is managed thanks to the floor pattern, the lines, the converging lines, parallel and vertical lines everywhere to give this sense of depth. You have this other example, still the same, the floor pattern to give the illusion of depth. What do we have? That's in Alita Battle Angel. You have exactly the same trick. Look, the floor pattern to give the sense of depth. Everything is dark in this picture. The walls are dark. The machines here are dark. She is dressed dark. And so if everything were dark, it would be very hard for the human eye to get that sense of depth. It is brought almost only by the floor pattern, just as the Renaissance masters did. Look, so the last look to this floor pattern, and let's compare it to, yeah, to this and this floor pattern. It's exactly the same technique. So let's go furthermore into the perspective. So that's the multiple stadium. Everybody he is is drawn to it. It's manifested, made clear by the perspective to it. The streets converge to the multiple stadium. Okay, so it's not made by chance, just like this. Oh, yeah, it happens. No, it is meant. Another example of the 3D, it is once again Raffaello. So you see that painting, it's a fresco, the Athenian School by Raffaello at the Vatican Museum. So how does it work? It works this way. There is a foreground. It works like the curtains of a theater. This arch is like a curtain to enter the scene. And you have the central subject, which is Plato and Aristoteles, and then the depth is given by the alternance of shadow here and light, shadow, light, shadow, light. Okay, shadow, light, like a tunnel with this foreground that works as curtains. It's exactly the same as here. You have the curtains on the foreground, like this, the main subject in the middle, and the background, which is not very clear. It's lost in depth, like this, but you have this scaling with the alternance of dark, of shadow light, shadow, light, shadow, light. So you have this sense of depth, despite what you are seeing is actually totally flat. It's just a screen. Like this, it is flat. It's flat. It's a fresco on a wall. But yeah, it does not look flat. Neither does this. That's the 3D. They used this alternate. It's built exactly. The two pictures are built the same. This and that. The movement. So it's another great challenge for any painter or sculptor. It's yeah, their work is still, and they have to give the sense of movement despite of this. In a movie, of course, it's much easier because the movie moves. It does move. But here we see a difference between a good action movie and a bad one. A good action movie is a movie where there is actual movement, actual action. A bad one is when they use tricks such as abusive zoom or shaking cameras, like on the shooter, to give a sensation of movement, whereas there is absolutely nothing that happens. Yeah, so in Alita movie, they did not cheat. If you have a sense of move, it's because there is actual move, and that move is choreographed a very correct way. So let's take some examples. That picture, I love it. So it is still, yeah, it does not move, but you nevertheless have a strong feeling of movement. Let's have a closer look at this. Yeah, we zoom. So you see the position of Alita is incredible, but it's balanced nevertheless. Why? Look, uh, I have this first curve, her body like this, that main movement. In green, it's the movement of the cyborg, so you see the cross correctly, like a key, it's the Greek X. And yeah, that's the axis of Alita's body. So another look, you see her head, her nose, the rest of her body, it's perfectly balanced. It's not made by chance. This is good action movie. Yeah, the position, yeah, tries to bring movement, whereas it is still, it's exactly the same concern as the Baroque sculpture, like that one. So it's Apollo and Daphne by Bernini. You see, there's a strong feeling of movement, and it works exactly the same. A central line like this with a snaky line to yeah, to bring life. Actually, that's the goal. If we compare this to Alita, it's exactly the same logic. It's very baroque. It's a very baroque picture, and it's correct. It's what is needed if you want to bring life. You take you learn from the masters. The masters for this are the baroque sculptures. Yeah. This other picture is very famous too. We have a closer look to the lines. Yeah. So Alita is, yeah, there's this line of the arms to balance the body, and that's the main movement. And across come the green cutters. It's the chains on either side of her body. Just, yeah, you see, it works. So her body especially works exactly the same way, about the same way as this statue, which is Pope Urban VIII by Bernini. Still, you see two snaky lines, one for the arms, one for the body. Just compare with the previous one. It works the same. So the action scenes in Alita are very baroque in the sense they have strong movement, but it looks real because that position is not unreal. Yeah, it works exactly the same. Okay, to finish, I will make a last comparison with the Pieta of Michelangelo. There are hundreds or thousands of Pietas all over the world, all over Europe. That one is the most famous. In fact, in the movie Alita Battle Angel, we have a Pieta scene. It's that one. Uh, it's not by chance. It's not. Yeah, it happens in a church. It's not for nothing. It's on purpose, of course. And yeah, it strongly rings a bell. It rings that bell, actually. Yeah. So of course, James Cameron, John Lando, and Robert Rodriguez. Whether you like them or not, They are very cultured people. They are masters in their art. They know all these things. That's why Alita Battle Angel is not. Well, you can like or dislike this movie, but please, before telling it's bad, think it twice. So to finish with, I've made this video is made from a thread I made on Twitter. I will put the link in description. I've made other threads like that. One about the care for decency, another one about the curves and lines, curves and straight lines in Alita Battle Angel. I think I will make another video about this, curves and lines, and maybe another one about the shooting angles that are quite interesting in Alita Battle Angel. So, thank you everybody for watching and have a good day.